This is a funny one. Yesterday, I'm starting to do. We're calling them tamale talks, because if you're a member of our channel on YouTube or Patreon, you're called a hot tamale. That's the title we give you. So I started doing something called tamale talks, which is what I think Nandela came up with this name, one of our YouTubers or one of our subscribers. And me and another person gushed about Harry Potter. I've never met this person in my life, never really talked to them before. But we started talking about Harry Potter and we talked for like an hour and a half and we're just gushing about the series for an hour and a half.
Kindred spirits.
I know. It was the best. Well, welcome back to podcasting.
Season 2.
Season 2, yeah. Welcome back to season 2.
Are you welcoming me or other people?
I'm welcoming you back from a hiatus of reading.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You ready to jump right in?
Thank you very much. Yes.
How?
Yes, I am.
It's like, get to it. Let's go. How? You've read 3 chapters of the book.
Are you ready to have me just burn you for another book?
I've been waiting for this for like the month that we were off. I've been wanting this to happen so bad. Like I've missed Abby just burning me for my love of Harry Potter.
I'm coming in with the fire. Not really. I don't have anything to burn you on.
Okay,
at this moment.
But as a side note, you seem to be liking this series, maybe a smidge more.
Well, I am enjoying the story. As I said, I probably would. So I was right on that prediction. I enjoy a good story. But really, when we had Christina on the other week, she really helped soften my heart to like, the book is so beloved by her. And she had such like just the sweetest, like most tender way of like talking about it. So that conversation helped like soften my heart to, I want to keep reading it anyway, but that gave me a little boost because I love her so much, and hearing her talk about how much she loves it.
Because she's
nice.
one of your most beloved friends. So it's like hearing her talk about something that she loves makes you want to understand why she loves it and want to read more.
Yes, I felt that my heart softened. Where I was telling her I do the podcast 99% to burn you and like 10% to read it. So now I'd say I like 20% want to read it and like 80% still want to just keep burning you. Also, I don't know if she said it on the podcast or if she texted it to us later, but she's the one who we talked about said like, you can't really know me until you read Harry Potter. And we were like, what does that mean? And I don't remember if she said it, but she texted us then and was like, what I mean when I say that is when you read Harry Potter, you're meeting my family.
I don't know if
did she say that on the podcast or she texted us that? Yeah. But I love that. Yes. And I feel like probably other people can relate to that.
Because we had an infamous debate one time about whether books can be friends. And we won't revisit that, but that's exactly what I mean when Christine's saying you meet my family. It's the same thing for me.
Okay. Well, the context of that conversation was a little different. That was years ago, and we don't need to rehash that. A long-standing argument in our friendship.
100%. So we started Chamber of Secrets chapters 1 through 3. And just on chapters 1 to 3 alone, give me just a blank slate of how you like it.
Well, I will just remind everyone and you that I'm reading this against all odds because you have done nothing but talk this book down the whole time. You keep saying that it's like everyone's least favorite book. So you've done nothing but talk it down. And then you ask me if like I'm excited to read it. But I do like the series. So yeah, I was ready to start it. I'm glad to have started it. So the first 3 chapters, well, I guess I have it in my head that you've said repeatedly that it's kind of the least exciting book. So I don't really know what to prepare for in terms of like how deep or heavy or intense the plot of this book is. But I mean, it's good so far. I was like so bummed to start chapter 1 and realize that he's back at the Dursleys' house. Right?
It's depressing that he's so back evil. There. I know, and they're
I started and I was like, oh,
yeah. It's like you hate that he's there, but it's still weird because when I revisit the series, every time I read that part, you're like oh, I have to spend a stupid chapter with the Dursleys. This sucks. But then it's still like you're back in the magical world and it's still lovely. So maybe you'll get there. We'll see.
Yeah. No, it's still after not reading it for a few weeks and then reading it again, I was like, oh, like it is a very vivid world, and there's like a comfort in like returning to that. You know, like it's a good book in terms of like you can picture it all.
Yeah. She paints such a vivid picture of certain things.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can easily like jump right back into the story.
Yeah.
And like feel it and imagine the characters and stuff. Mm-hmm.
We're also going to implement something new, which is Abby Asks. So
oh yeah,
if you ever have questions, just rattle one off. We'll do one per podcast. Okay, sweet. And what we're going to do is I'm going to post this on our Discord, on our subreddit, on anything that we have, and people are going to give me the responses, and I'll read you some of the best responses every podcast.
Yeah, I love that. If I think of a question while I'm reading, I'm trying to put it in my notes on my phone. Well, some of them are totally random, not related to the chapters.
Yeah, that's okay.
Is that fine?
That's no problem at all. It can be like, why do people love the series? Like you asked that in one of the big first ones, and a few people wrote their responses. But
well, yeah, we can always come back to that one. Okay, so the one I thought of and never asked yet is like if people have Potter tattoos.
Oh yeah.
And if so, what are they? Because I've seen several people with like the lightning bolt tattoo.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's probably the only tattoo that you would recognize that someone has of Harry Potter. There's a few more tattoos that people have. Some people have like Hogwarts tattooed, literally like the full castle of Hogwarts tattooed on their body somewhere. There's a few other ones that you probably wouldn't have recognized. I'm gonna this is like a slight pause in the actual recording of the podcast. Chat, can you guys tell me if I should show her the tattoo, the Harry Potter tattoo? Should I show her a picture of that?
Why would you not? What would that spoil?
It's not going to spoil anything, but it's still just like a symbol that is associated with Harry Potter that everyone talks about. And if you love Harry Potter, you get this. But oh man, I can't. I have to be careful with what I say. Yeah, it's
why. I just want to hear what people's tattoos are. And like what it means to them, like why they got it and what it means to them.
Yeah, okay, that's a great question. So we'll throw that out there. I'm not going to be able to tell you everything because some of the reasons that people get these tattoos are spoilery. The 3 tattoos that people get a lot. Oh. One of them is a symbol, and
why don't you just like think on that more, and then we'll come back to it. You're about to go down like nerd rabbit trail. And I don't need that. I'm just curious. So let's just let the people speak for themselves.
I'll quiz you on this one because this is a question that I asked Abby. So asked the season 1 crew. There is a tattoo that people get. It is just one word. And when people say this word, it's immediately associated with Harry Potter. But it's just one word. Don't go looking for this word because it's going to give off some spoilers, all that kind of stuff. And it's not going to really mean that much until you're at the end of the series. But people get that tattooed on their arm all the time. Do you have any idea what that word is? Give me a guess for what you think that word is.
Leviosa. Levio Leviosa.
I think I asked you this before, and I think you said the same thing. Leviosa or something like that.
Yeah. Hogwarts.
We'll see when we get there.
I don't know. Voldemort.
Yeah.
Potter. No, I have no idea.
There's another really intense tattoo that people get after book 5 that I would never get, but some people do get this one. There's a tattoo that it's like the most popular tattoo that people get after book 7.
Okay. I believe you.
So I'll throw that out there. That'll be the first Abby asks, and then we'll go from there.
Do you have a tattoo? And without spoilers, what is the tattoo? And what does it mean to you? I guess more specifically, well, because the lightning bolt is the only tattoo I guess I am aware of that I've seen, I just wonder what that means to people. And like, I know what it represents in the story, but my question is like, I'm just totally curious, like, okay, what does it mean to you? Like, why did that speak to you? because I'm sure everyone has their own story. So
I love that. That's great.
yes, that's my question.
I'm down. I love that.
Didn't you think about getting it?
Yeah, I would 100% get one. If I got a tattoo, I would.
What would you get?
I don't know. It would. I can't exactly say what I would get yet, but most people.
Okay.
It's like the symbol. I would probably get the symbol somewhere. There's a few other ideas of something that I would get. This is like, okay, we're gonna press into like some super nerd stuff right here. But I love. There's a sword in Lord of the Rings that it's called the Shards of Narsil, and I would love to get that tattooed on the back of my arm right here. And if I got that tattooed on the back of my arm, I would want to balance it off and maybe tattoo a wand on this part of my arm or something like that. So like it could be hidden, but you know, like I'd be like, hey, I got a cool tattoo here and here. You know? But I don't know if I would do that.
If anyone ever questioned if you were a nerd, you'd be marked for life.
I know, exactly. I know. Which should be great.
That's cool.
Would you? If the number one new goal of this podcast is to, sorry, I'm interrupting. The number one new goal of this podcast is to get you a Harry Potter tattoo by the end of the podcast.
That will never happen. I will never get a tattoo of anything. I love tattoos, but I will never get one on my body. It just won't happen. But I actually think the goal for the podcast for me is that, you know, I've been asking incessantly for a prize for all of the things that I guess correctly. Mm-hmm. And I think that it should somehow lead to me being able to influence what tattoo you get at the end of this series.
I am 100% in for that.
Wait, really?
Yes. We need to figure out how to actually do this.
I was not expecting that response.
Happy. I am in. It can't obviously, like, I have to be able to choose the location of the tattoo. 100%.
Of course.
But we have to figure out like the rules of war for this. If you get a certain amount of predictions right or something like that, then I will absolutely get a tattoo that you want from Harry Potter. It has to be Harry Potter related. And I will get whatever you want in the Harry Potter universe. Oh my
gosh. That is amazing. I was not expecting that response.
I'm in. I'm so in for this. That sounds great.
Okay. Well, let's hash out the details. And
then we'll try to figure out the rules of engagement for that. I'll throw it out in the subreddit. We'll go from there. that would be...
Okay, well, if you're going to put it in your subreddit, people need to also don't have the odds stacked in John's favor. Have them
stacked in your favor.
Stacked for or that, or just evenly. Give me a chance here, because you guys... You and the Potter people know everything about Potter. I know nothing. So you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
But I knew that Quirrell was a bad guy in book one, so keep that in mind too.
We're going to see with this one if you're going to be able to figure out certain things in this book. This book is harder to predict, I think, than the first book.
Well, but also my suspicions are heightened even more, because now I know that the bad guy in book one, he was on my radar, but the bad guy that the book is leading you to was wrong. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to be second guessing nearly everyone.
This is going to be great. I can't wait for this. This is going to be such a good book. But let's do the intro, and then let's jump into some of the discussion. I always have a brain fart whenever we're about
Welcome
to
start
the podcast.
I'm John. I'm Abby. Welcome to the First Time Reader.
Gosh.
This is your podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm John.
I'm Abby.
And this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Go rate us, go review us, go follow us on social media, on our Reddit, on our Discord, on our email us if you want to talk about the podcast even more. If you become a member, you could be part of a tamale talk, which we're doing, which are really fun. So if you're a member on YouTube or Patreon, we are just doing side discussions on Harry Potter, and we're going to start doing a lot more of those, which are really fun. But subscribe to us on YouTube. That'd be great. We're trying to get a bit more subscribers so we can do this full time. I mean, how incredible would that be if we could just sit and nerd about Harry Potter for the rest of our lives? That'd be the best. So go follow us on all platforms. And that's pretty much all I got. I don't want to make these intros that long anymore. I think everyone knows the kind of the routine of everything. So go check us out. Go rate and review us, because it helps the podcast. And yeah, go spread the word about this podcast. That's the best way we can get it out there. So if you're like on the Harry Potter Reddits, the main feeds, or any like book channels or something like that, spread the podcast out there, because I feel like this is a big podcast for people who love the series and who actually kind of like want to relive the series for the first time again, which is why I started this podcast. So enjoy these chapters. I'm really happy Abby's back. Enjoy these chapters as we just dissect chapters 1 to 3 of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Oh my gosh.
Twinkly music.
Yeah, twinkly music. And then we start the podcast. And I always go, all right, Abby, can you give me a summary of chapter 1 of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets?
Yes, I can. Should we get into it right now?
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Okay. Chapter 1, as previously mentioned, unfortunately takes place in the Dursleys' home. I was very upset too. I was very bummed when I started reading it. I was like, oh. So I forget kind of like the opening scene, but Harry is home for the summer at the Dursleys' house. Oh, at first, they don't know that he is not allowed to do magic at home. So it's like the only thing he has to kind of hold over them and like kind of keep them from being so like evil to him. But I forget all that happens in chapter 1. The dad comes home and says he's having this like really important dinner that night, and he wants everyone like in their places, acting just right. And Harry is to stay upstairs, not make a sound, just totally go unnoticed. So I think he's like sent outside to do like yard work, and then he comes back in. He has to eat a very quick dinner, and evil Aunt Petunia, rushes him upstairs. So he's out of the way, and he goes in his bedroom, and there's a creature sitting on his bed.
Yep. Do you know what the creature is called?
Dobby. Yes, that's chapter 2.
Okay, sorry. Do you know what kind of creature he is too?
Sorry, he's a house elf.
Okay. There was a when we were listening to this chapter, I was listening to it with a few people who are doing the podcast or are from the podcast who like listen, and people are like, Abby is going to have a field day when she finds this is a house elf, and she's gonna like make fun of you so much for liking house elves.
Get out of here. Yeah. Come on.
In chapter 1, chapter is called The Worst Birthday. When it's like Harry's birthday and no one is actually celebrating everything.
Oh, it's his birthday. I forgot.
So he's super depressed about that, which is weird because why would you want the Dursleys to celebrate your birthday anyway? But I guess it's your birthday, so you know. But has your opinion of the Dursleys changed at all? For better or worse?
Yes, it's only gotten worse. They're terrible. They're more evil than ever now. And in the next chapter is when they like starve him basically and like lock him in his room. So I hate them even more because they're like doubling down on how awful they are towards him.
Has your opinion...
I hate them.
Has your opinion gotten worse for even Dudley?
It stayed the same.
Do you have any pity on Dudley?
Well, I don't know where to draw the line with any child who, like, if they're raised to be a little turd, a spoiled little turd, when they're like 3, maybe 4, I don't really know that they know better because that's all they've ever known is like to be spoiled. But he's like, what, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever?
Yeah, he's 12 years old.
So he knows better. So he knows better to a degree. So I really dislike him. I don't know how much slack to give him.
Here's another one too. Why does Harry, like you even mentioned, you read chapter 1, you're like, bummer, Harry's back at the Dursleys. Where did you expect him to be?
Well, I was kind of hoping the whole story would just glaze over summer and he would just be back at Hogwarts for year 2.
Why do you think that it started with back at the Dursleys? Not even just from a writing perspective, but like, why did he even have to go back to the Dursleys?
Well, I guess he couldn't have stayed at school over the summer and he didn't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah, maybe that's a boring question. They don't board you over the summer at Hogwarts.
Yeah. Well, I guess too that like the leaders of the school don't know how terrible his home life is. Like if this was true life, teachers have like a duty to report. Like if a kid is like being starved at their home and the teachers know, they like have to intervene or like at least report it. So, but it's like, well, this is a story. It's not really real, but it's like,
well, this is still
I
the
don't know.
80s too. So like back, like Harry Potter is taking place. This is, I think, year 82 or something like that.
How do you know that?
Or hold on, I think Harry was born in 82. This is happening in 92, I think. Or Harry.
How do you know he was born in 82?
There's a few like context clues, and J.K. Rowling has actually said when the book is actually taking place.
Interesting.
So I think he was born in 80, and this is year 92 right now. Yeah, it's 92. People are confirming on chat. So it's like still at that era where you have to report things, but it's not like quite as strong as it is today. So there's some issues there. And yeah, people don't really know. Like even when they gave him away, it was weird at book 1 when McGonagall was watching them all day, and McGonagall's like, we can't leave him with this family. This is the worst like group that she's ever seen. These are the worst kind of muggles that she's ever seen. But they still leave him there, which is a little weird.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they find another situation for Harry? I
don't know. It's borderline negligent,
I know.
if you ask me.
Agreed. Is Dumbledore borderline negligent? That's the question. That's the big question.
They all are.
I know.
They all are. I think, based on previous questions you've asked me, I think that Dumbledore is very, very calculated in everything he does, but I don't know the answer to that question of why he would allow him to stay with the Dursleys.
I forgot that I need to be really calculated when I ask you questions now, because you are, I forgot that you analyze my own questions.
Well, sometimes you circle a wagon a little bit.
Yeah. Why do you think that Harry wants the Dursleys to recognize his birthday?
Well, I think it's like human nature if you grow up in a society that celebrates birthdays, like to be recognized, to be celebrated. I think he's bummed too because he's not at that point received any letters or anything from his friends. So it's like he just feels alone probably and like invisible, like no one cares about him or loves him.
Which again, isn't that one of the biggest fears of nines, to be like feel alone and not loved or not cared for it or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. So
yeah.
That's a little weird to me because my ideal birthday is for everyone to just ignore me and act like it's a normal day.
Yes, but you're coming from a place of like being surrounded by people who know you and love you.
Such a good point.
And Harry at his core has been lacking that, like in his core. He may feel like that anyway.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point. Harry's so neglected that even some kind of semblance of someone saying happy birthday to him would be huge.
Yeah, because he's just like so desperate for that in his heart.
He's not getting the letters from his friends, which is so sad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a great point. Are you
different vantage point?
I know. Are you a birthday person or not? Just personal questions again.
Yeah, this is your one. This is your one.
One per podcast. Okay.
Yeah. I like a little something, but I don't like anything too in your face. Yeah, I like to do something to like celebrate, but it could just be like having dinner with like my family or my closest friends or whatever.
I think we did that once with your birthday. Didn't we just go to like Stackhouse or something like that, and I'll just like eat on the roof and
probably.
I remember that faintly. I think we even mentioned this on the podcast, but you planned one of my favorite birthdays ever when we just went to the symphony, and it was just like me. It was like me, you, and like 3-4 of our other friends, and we just went to the symphony, and it was great. Yeah,
a group of us.
Low-key.
And we tried to trick you, but you kind of figured some of it out.
Because Brandon, the guy that was on the podcast before, he's like, let's like dress up in like full suits and go get dinner somewhere. I'm like, no, Brandon, that's stupid. He's like,
But you said when he texted you, you Googled symphony tickets that day.
Because what else do you wear? a full suit and full ensemble for. I'm like, it's got to either be like a play or a symphony. And I'm like, it's probably a symphony. Let me just like look it up. And I was like, okay, yeah, there's one playing on my birthday. It's this kind of music. It sounds great. Knew immediately.
Knew immediately. Sometimes it's fun to do something big with your friends on your birthday. And sometimes it's fun to do like something like relaxed.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I like both for different reasons.
Yeah, nice and low key. Agreed. There's not much else in chapter 1. There's a bunch we'll talk about in chapter 2, but do you have any other like points that you wanted to mention in chapter 1?
Not in chapter 1, no.
All right. There's a funny line. Aunt Petunia knew he hadn't really done magic, but he still had to duck as she aimed a heavy blow at his head with the soapy frying pan. So it's not only going on emotional abuse, it's going on physical abuse as she's trying to hit him with a frying pan.
Yeah.
These people are awful.
I hate her. Yeah. You're not supposed to say that you hate people in general, but this is a fictional world and they're fictional characters. So I can say that I hate her because I hate who this character is. She's not a real person that's alive somewhere.
How are they related to Harry again? Which member of their family is related to Harry?
Come on.
I know it's
John.
Answer the question though.
Everyone knows this. Harry's deceased mother was the sister of Aunt Petunia.
Okay, great. So why do you think Petunia wants to stamp magic out of Harry?
Again, I believe we've already discussed this.
Yeah, but I'm going to re-ask you all these questions. Even though I have Alzheimer's and forget this stuff, I'm still going to ask you all these questions.
Okay. She's resentful that Lily was like the chosen one of her family, like her parents' pet. And then she saw how magic just like changed her and, in her opinion, ruined her life. Well, she did ultimately die from it. So she doesn't want to be near magic.
Do you think that she's protecting Harry at all? Do you think that there's anything in her brain that is protecting Harry by trying to stamp it out?
Yes. I could see a world in which loving parents could choose to withhold that magical information to protect their child for a time, but she's not doing it in a loving way. So yes, I could see like a good intention, but the way she's executing it and the way she's treating him is totally evil.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting thought there. Let's go on to chapter 2. Can you give me a quick summary of chapter 2?
Yeah. So chapter 2 is when he has gone into his bedroom and the little creature is sitting on his bed, Dobby the house elf. And Dobby has come with a warning first Harry is like, shush, shush, like sit down. And Dobby is like, oh, I can't believe you want me to sit down. No one's ever treated me like an equal before. And so Dobby has come with a warning for Harry to not return to Hogwarts because there's plans to like someone's out to get him. I forget exactly what he says, but I did take note of it when I read it, and I will look back to it. But he says not to return. There's like plans against him, but then Dobby lets it slip like, why do you want to go back? Even your friends haven't reached out to you. So Harry was like, wait, what? How do you know my friends haven't reached out to me? So Dobby has been holding the letters that have come to him through the summer. So Dobby is like acting very erratically, slamming his head against different objects and causes a scene. And Uncle Vernon runs up and I forget the exact order. Dobby runs back downstairs, smashes the special pudding made for the event tonight. I forget exactly how chapter 2 ends before chapter 3 starts.
Actually, let me check real quick. I have the text in front of me. Oh, no, actually don't. I have
I have my book.
7th book in front of me.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a good ending.
Okay, I have it.
I think doesn't it end with the pudding crashing on the floor?
Oh, yeah. No, it doesn't. So the pudding crash on the floor, they flip out. So that's after that. So the businessman leaves because the owl has just come in.
His wife is deathly afraid of his wife. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the Dursleys are just like livid with Harry. That's when they lock him in his room and only feed him like 3 times a day. And
I think it ends right there with him just locked in his room and like knowing that there's no escape.
But it ends with Harry is outside of his window. That's what it says. Ron Weasley was outside Harry's window.
Yeah. With Ron being outside of his window. Yeah. What a great ending to a chapter.
Yeah.
We're like, there's an escape plan happening.
Interesting. Yeah, a little action.
Yeah.
Ron shows up after not knowing where he's been through the summer. Yeah.
What are your first thoughts on Dobby or Dobby?
Oh, Dobby.
You can say Dobby. It's however you want to say it.
Well, how do the Potter people say it?
You can say Henry Potter. You can say...
No, I say Harry Potter.
It's actually interesting. There's another thing. Hermione, no one really was pronouncing that right. Well, a few people were pronouncing that right when the books came out. So J.K. Rowling always knew that people were mispronouncing it or they didn't know how to pronounce it. So midway through book 4, she made Hermione pronounce her name to a character. So everyone got it right after that. But she didn't do it to every single character, obviously. So
that's clever. Dobby is a creepy little thing. I don't really like his vibe. I definitely don't trust him.
Interesting. Okay.
The biggest question is obviously, where did he come from? Whose house elf is he?
Yeah.
Is he doing this because he truly believes what he's saying? Or is he lying?
Mm-hmm.
Is he lying? Yes or no? And if he's lying, is he lying on behalf of his master? Or has he been tricked by his master?
Dude,
we don't
You're
know.
asking some great questions right now.
I know.
Oh, hold on. What the heck?
I know.
Someone just commented, as a Brit, I'll have to contradict you. We don't pronounce it Dobby. They pronounce it Dobby.
Oh, it's Dobby?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll keep it as Dobby. Okay, great. We're still good. Sorry, I had an error message on my YouTube. Yeah, some drop frames.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Dobby has...
Let's talk about all those questions that you just asked. Why don't you trust him?
He's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, he doesn't seem very trustworthy to start, to be honest.
No. Well, his whole thing of like he lets some information slip, but then he like starts banging his head like, oh, you seem a little unstable here, you know.
What's he doing that? Why is he doing that?
Because he says that he can't say anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But then he's also been withholding Harry's letters.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not he thinks that's the right thing to do, he's deceiving Harry. So we're not off to a good start here.
Yeah. It's maybe like even one of those cases of people who are in abusive relationships sometimes can be people who are abusers later. So like he is maybe in a terrible relationship with his masters. And so he doesn't know anything else but to like, I guess maybe manipulate and try to get his way. So that's why he's like keeping letters from Harry. Not a great move rather than just, go to him and say this stuff off the bat. But
and if he's being honest about his reaction of like, oh, no one's ever asked me to sit down beside them before. If that's true, he might be like abused by his owner. Yeah. The book alludes to, could he be, what's his name? Malfoy? Which I don't take anything the book says at value anymore. But if they're like dark-sided people and he's their house elf, I could see that fitting in the sense that they probably don't treat their house elf kindly.
Yeah, for sure.
So I could see that someone like that fitting where like they're not a kind person, so they don't treat him well.
Do you think that he is... Yeah, give me a list of suspects. Do you think that we've met his master before? Give me a list of suspects.
I don't know. Why don't you tell me that, actually?
Nope.
We know that it's not the Weasleys because they don't have a house elf.
That would be wild if that was from the
the only other suspect I think that they talk about in the book so far is Malfoy. But they say in the book they're not sure if he has a house elf, but he has the best of everything and looks like he comes from money, so they're guessing that he could have a house elf.
But just like you said, the first book, it throws those things out there, it makes it seem super obvious, and then it's never quite that obvious. So maybe that one's a little too on the nose. She's got to refine some of her writing skills here.
I don't know.
Why?
Unless she's trying to psych us out, and it really is their house elf. I don't know.
Ooh. What do they call that?
Do we know the house elf's owner? Are they part of the story yet?
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
You said you don't know whether to trust him or to not trust him. Which one do you lean more? Like, is stuff that he's saying true, or is he lying on behalf of his owner and saying all this stuff to be purposefully make Harry not come to school?
Well, I read the insert of the book to get like the brief kind of synopsis of the book. And there really are there is something that's going to happen at Hogwarts this school year.
What is that?
I could read the insert of the book. Do you want me to read the insert?
No. I want you to guess what you think is going to happen at Hogwarts this year.
Well, there's something there's little attacks on students or I don't remember what it says.
Okay.
So something happens at Hogwarts this year, but Dobby says he's in mortal danger. So is he in mortal danger or not? I don't know. I think it's most likely that Dobby has been lied to by his master. And so Dobby believes what he's saying, but I don't know if it's actually true or not.
Okay. Why do you think that he can't just leave the family? If he is if he hates working for this family, why can't he just get up and leave?
I don't really know how that world works. They're probably tied to their owner.
It's some magic way. Why then does Dobby warn Harry about these things and only Harry?
Because the attacks are going to be targeted towards him. Because he's the chosen one.
You keep saying he's the chosen one. Where are you getting this from?
Of my own brain. He is the chosen one. The whole series is about him.
It's about the chosen one, Harry Potter.
He's the star of the show. Yeah. He's the great wizard.
He's the great wizard.
He is.
So we don't.
He's the star.
So we don't know where he comes from. We don't really know whether to trust him or not. And you think he's a little shady. You don't really like him that much.
No.
He does have one of my favorite lines in the entire series in this chapter, where Harry does something for him, and Dobby says, "Dobby has heard of your greatness, sir, but of your goodness, Dobby never knew." And I love that so much. It's such a great line. Sometimes the characters that you hate the most in this series are the characters that spit some of the greatest truth. And I think that's a great point of Harry, that he is super famous, super well known, but he's just a good person.
Yeah, he has a good heart.
He's got a good heart. Great heart.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's further proof to me that his owner, Dobby's owner, is someone who's not good and kind-hearted.
Yeah, for sure. There's also another point with, we were talking about whether we trust him or not, why couldn't he just leave if he wanted to? Why doesn't Harry just lie and say, "Oh yeah, sure, I won't go back to Hogwarts"? Why does he have to be honest with this little creature there?
I don't know why he didn't cave just to get him to shut up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think that?
Why don't you tell me?
Do you think there's something magical behind that?
No, other than Harry is a person of his word. And if he doesn't mean it, he's not going to say it.
Do you think that there's something that exists in the magical world where it's something that if you speak a promise you have to fulfill that promise, otherwise like you die or something like that, or there's some serious magic attached to it.
Oh boy.
Conjecture with me, humor me.
Yeah, I couldn't say for sure, but my guess would be no.
Okay.
Unless you're speaking a magical spell. No, if it's just two people in conversation, I don't think they're tied to.
Okay, so there has to be some magical spell involved.
Sure.
Somebody wants to know, what do you think Vernon's Japanese golfer joke was?
Oh my gosh. What the joke was? I have no idea.
Yeah, he just storms upstairs. You just ruined the punchline of my Japanese golfer joke.
I have no idea. Other than just to prove how unfunny and probably small-minded he is.
That part of the chapter was hilarious too, when they're trying to like come up with ways to butter this guy up, and
and Dursley is like, I'm gonna write about my heroes, and it's gonna be you. And even the mom was, or no, one of the parents was like,
melted.
Oh, that's a little much. Yeah.
I love how she writes. She's so funny.
Yeah, she's like mocking her own characters as she's writing about them. Yeah.
It's so good.
Oh, they're all so terrible.
It also hurts me that he doesn't get his handwritten letters. Like, that's got to hurt Harry when he's not getting those throughout the summer and he's not able to send anything. And all of a sudden, this house elf, he like is holding these letters back from him. That was a little frustrating.
Yeah, the silver lining though is that like he at least knows they exist, and then minutes later is when Ron appears at his window. So it is like a huge letdown, but then there's like a little bit of comfort and knowing that he actually was getting letters. He just didn't get them.
Yeah, for sure.
But then he'll see his friends soon enough anyway to like be able to reconnect with them.
Yeah, absolutely. There is another like the chapter is just filled with a lot of sad things that happen, and there's this one line that he says, or that the book has. He says, "See." He goes, "See why I've got to go back to Hogwarts? It's the only place I've got. Well, I think I've got friends." And that's when he shows them the letter. But then there's another line, which is even sadder. Harry, whose insides were aching with hunger, jumped off his bed and seized it. The soup was stone cold, but he drank half of it in one gulp. Then he crossed the room to Hedwig's cage and tipped the soggy vegetables at the bottom of the bowl into her empty food tray. She ruffled her feathers and gave him a deep look of disgust. What do you think Harry is feeling at that moment? Because he's prisoned in his room at that moment.
Yeah, I love that he went over to take care of his owl. Yeah. That was very kind of him. Yeah. I mean, he's got to be feeling despair at that point.
Yeah, it is. It's like sad that he's literally like a prisoner, and Hedwig's a prisoner in his room, and he's like tipping his food to her. But he's like still he's great. He's showing compassion and kindness and giving of his own food to his pet. At this point, he's an okay pet owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else in this chapter before you hit chapter 3?
No.
All right. Can you give me a summary of chapter 3?
Yes. So chapter 3 is when Ron is right outside of his door in a flying car, and his 2 brothers are in the car with him. And so basically they help him. They want to like help to get him out. Ron asks where he's been, why he hasn't been responding. So they learn that he's basically been trapped in his room and starved. So they're like, we're going to get you out. We're here to get you out. So they break off the bars to his window. They start to get him out, but then Harry is like, all of my stuff for Hogwarts is down at the bottom of the stairs. Yeah. And we can't do any more magic because the Ministry of Magic gave him a warning because they thought he did like a spell already. So he's like, I can't do any magic to get my thing out. So the brothers are like, no, we can just use this hairpin to open the lock. We know like these skills. So they go down and get his trunk, bring it upstairs. as they're getting everything, or maybe him out the window, the uncle, Vernon, he comes upstairs and like grabs Harry's foot or something, like trying to not let him out the window. But they somehow get him out. But then at some point they realize they forgot the owl. So I forget the exact order, but basically they somehow are able to get the owl, get all the stuff in the car, and then the car is able to like get away basically. And they fly towards the moon.
Yep.
And they fly back to Ron Weasley's house.
That's a great summary right there. You're nailing these summaries. When we see the Weasleys, how do you like their whole rescue plan?
I love it. I love that Ron is like, okay, I'm just going in.
Yeah.
Like, he's not been responding to me.
Yep.
I got to check on my friend. He is like his savior, really, in that moment, because he was locked in his room, like being starved. That
is a point that I had never thought of before, Abby. That is actually brilliant. That Ron took the initiative to wrangle his brothers up, probably drag them. His brothers probably wanted to do it as well, but like took his brothers, started flying this flying car that they probably didn't know how to drive, but they had to figure it out, and he's like literally going all the way across the country to rescue his friend. I like never really considered that, have like what Ron actually did for that. And that is such good friendship. Wow.
I'm shocked there's an aspect of this you haven't deeply analyzed and just pondered over.
Abby, there's going to be tons of stuff that you talk about that I'm going to be like, I had never really thought about it. That's why I've read this 15 times, is because every single time I reread it, I'm like, oh man, that was like so cool. I never really saw that before.
You get a new insight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like the best.
Yeah. Ron is such a true friend in that. I love that. I mean, he's the hero of that scene. Like, he shows up.
100%,
you know?
Yeah. That's why the chapter ends so good with Ron outside his window.
It's like Hagrid showed up in book 1 at the beginning of that. He's the first one who shows up for Harry to like teach him, take him away. And now Ron is the first one who shows up in this book to like really advocate for Harry and rescue Harry.
Yeah. Do you think that like Harry's gonna have to have a rescue mission every single time he leaves the Dursleys' house?
Hopefully this is the last one. Hopefully he doesn't have to go back to the Dursleys.
Yeah. Do you think that, that's actually an interesting question. Do you think that he's gonna have to keep going back to the Dursleys?
I hope not. I hope that at this point, people at the school realize that it's a very unhealthy home environment and he should not go back.
And especially when he goes to the Burrow. The Burrow is one of the coolest places. I would love to live in the Burrow, which is the Weasley's home. Like
the Weasley's house.
He's so fun to live there.
Can't they just take him?
I know, exactly.
Can't they just take him in the summer and on school breaks?
Maybe, hopefully the Dursleys are out of the story at this point, and maybe we'll just get Harry staying at the Burrow from this point on.
I feel that they are not out of the story, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
Interesting, Abby. That's a really interesting point that you made there. It's also kind of cool that the twins, they're great at magic, but also they're learning Muggle skills, like how to pick locks. For some reason, I love the twins in this scene when they say a lot of wizards think it's a waste of time knowing this sort of Muggle trick, but we feel their skills worth learning, even if they are a bit slow. So maybe a weird question, but from the little that we know of the characters so far, from like some of the main ones, let's just talk about Harry, Ron, Hermione, maybe the twins. What do you think that their professions will be?
Oh boy. Well, I could see.
I mean, you don't know a ton of like wizarding jobs, to be honest, but from the little that you know.
That's true. Well, I know that the Ministry of Magic exists. I know that Hogwarts exists. So, professor is a job. I know that we know that one of Ron's brothers is like off in Romania.
Yep.
Maybe he's studying though.
He's studying dragons
or something.
Yeah. Which you would love. What are you talking about? You're like rolling your eyes for that one. You love dragons.
can like read about them. I don't know that I'd go so far as to study them, but I don't know the answer to that question. I think that maybe someone will be a professor. Maybe Ron will work for the Ministry of Magic in his father's footsteps.
Okay.
Hermione is a go-getter, so Hermione will like run a house at Hogwarts one day. Yeah. I don't know. Or she'll be on the Ministry of Magic as the VP of operations.
VP of operations or the Ministry of Magic. All right.
Yeah.
She's.
Which of the twins is the prefect? Is Percy one of the twins?
No, Percy's not one of the twins. Percy is their older brother. So,
okay,
let's go through the Weasleys. Who's the youngest?
Is her name Ginny?
Yeah, Ginny, the sister. She's the only girl in the family. She's the youngest. Then you have Ron.
Okay.
Then who do you have? Do you know?
Well, there's the twins and then at least one more brother.
Yeah, so the twins, which are Fred and George. And then you have Percy, who's the fifth brother. He's the prefect, and he's like the goody two-shoes of the family. Fred and George are the troublemakers. Okay. Ron is a loyal friend. Jenny's the only girl. We don't really know anything about Jenny, except she has a massive crush on Harry and has been talking about Harry nonstop. And then the two older brothers are Bill and Charlie. One's working with dragons in Romania, and the other is working at the bank, Gringotts, as a curse breaker.
Oh, okay.
So there is 7 Weasleys altogether, and Percy's in school, and all 5 of them are in school. One graduated, I think, a year before Harry got there, and then Percy's still there. Fred and George are still there. Ron's there, and Ginny is about to go.
Okay.
Out of all of them, who's your favorite?
Ron.
Okay, yeah, that's an easy answer.
Well, I also love his mother too. She's so kind and warm to Harry.
Yeah, I love when they come back and she reams her own children out, and then she's like, "Of course, I don't blame you for anything, Harry. Like, we were gonna come rescue us ourselves." And she sent him
she was gonna come get him, and then at Christmas last year, she sent him like a sweater she knitted for him. Yeah. So she loves him. She's like maybe the closest he has to like a surrogate mother.
Yeah, there's one of my favorite lines in also the series. This book has some great lines in it that I love, but it says, Mrs. Weasley was marching across the yard, scattering chickens. And for a short, plump woman who was kind-faced, it was remarkable how much she looked like a saber-toothed tiger.
I saw that.
Such a great line. It's so good. But she is so lovely. She is like the mother that Harry has never really had, which is tragic because he doesn't have a mother, but like she is really taking care of him in a lot of like great ways.
Yeah.
Love Mrs. Weasley. Do you like Mr. Weasley?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen much of him, so yeah, I don't really have an opinion of him.
So
he seems like a good guy.
Yeah. So in this chapter, the car is bewitched. When you walk into the burrow, you see like there's like dishes that are being washed by themselves, like something is being knit by themselves, like certain things are cooking and stuff like that. But if you could, maybe this is a wild question. You're gonna make fun of me for this. If you could bewitch any object in your house, the eye roll. Everyone could hear that eye roll.
My eyes rolled all the way to the back of my head. I'm having trouble pulling them forward. I don't want to bewitch anything because I like being a human, and we have so many creature comforts as a human. I have a dishwasher downstairs that basically does wash my dishes for me.
Robot
I have
vacuums,
a washing machine.
Yeah, washing machine.
I actually love to push a vacuum. It's one of my...
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that chore. Yeah, I don't...
It's like therapeutic for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need magic because I'm fine being a human.
At the end of the series, you're going to be like, I wish I could bewitch this. I wish I could do this. Please give me my Hogwarts letter.
No, in my mind, I'm like, well, if I had money, I would pay someone to like mow my lawn for me.
Sure. That'd be nice.
But I'm not.
You don't want to bewitch your lawnmower?
No, I'll just pay some neighbor kid $10 to mow my little yard. What would you use magic for?
I don't have a dishwasher or a washing machine in my house or my apartment. I would for sure do the dishes if I could. I don't have a dishwasher, so like bewitch a sponge that anytime I put a dish into the sink, it would just wash. That would be the best ever. This is literally what a washing or a dishwasher does, but I just don't have one. And I hate washing dishes. I'm fine with all the other chores. I make my bed every morning. I go do my laundry at another spot. I'll mow the lawn with no problem. I vacuum. It's fine. I have to pick up all the cotton on the floor that Wes rips up his little toys for. But I hate washing dishes. Like after I cook a full meal, that's the last thing that I want to do.
Yeah. But it's like also the glory of being a human, the mundane things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There is like quaint. Yeah, there's like a quaintness. There's like there's a magic, if you will, in doing the mundane tasks.
Oh, you didn't hear me say that. I actually said the opposite of that.
Mundaneness, yeah. You really did.
The mundane is like what makes us human.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. I like that. Some other questions. Does denoming a garden sound fun?
Are we in chapter 2 or 3? I already
Chapter
forget.
3. So this is the burrow.
Well, we didn't do a chapter summary though. We did this chapter summary of 2, and they're flying to his house at the end of chapter 2.
Okay, so
and I think at the beginning of chapter 3 is when they get to the house and they show Harry around.
Okay, so give me so is that your chapter summary? Is that all you got?
Oh, well, basically, yeah. They show him around, but then Harry goes upstairs and Ron is like kind of shy at the end of like denoming the garden stuff, and Ron is a little bit shy. It's like, sorry, it's just like, a humble house or whatever. Yeah. And Harry is like, no, this is the best house I've ever been to.
Yeah.
That's a cool line.
Yeah, that's I love that line as well. Like Ron is embarrassed of his upbringing, and Harry's like, this is the best. It's the same thing. You see it in the movies, but you haven't seen movie 2. It's like a great scene when Harry walks into the house and he just sees everything, like all the magic and like it's like such a cozy house. It's like dirty and dingy and like just like warm and bright, and it's just lovely.
It's like lived in. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So there's like a quaintness to it that I think I would love living in it.
Okay, so back to your question about denoming the garden. It is kind of clever, but it did make me think. So do you have a gnome in your garden?
No, of course I don't have a gnome in my garden.
Do you know those little things that they describe in the book? I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah. Isn't it fun how they like give little things that muggles have, like actual realness to it? Like there's actual garden gnomes out there, like trundling through the garden. Do you think what do you think about the hierarchy of creatures? Again, maybe a ridiculous question.
Well, I'm actually not done talking about the gnome yet.
Well, I'm still like, that's kind of what I'm talking about the gnome. Go ahead. Do you have a gnome in your garden?
Well, thank you for asking. No, in the real world, I don't. But
in Animal Crossing,
I have several strewn across my island. It is a decor item in Animal Crossing, and I have at least 2 that I know of. So thank you for asking.
And tell everyone again, how much bells do you have? How many bells do you have?
Approximately 34 million. Thank you. Probably more because I've been investing well.
Ooh, the turnip prices are doing well right now?
Yeah, I sold at a small spike this week.
Ooh.
So I made a profit as per usual.
Anyway, are gnomes, are they just decor? Do they do anything?
Yeah. No, they just sit there.
Just like some gnomes around your island.
Yeah, I was like, I would never have this piece of crap in my yard, but like it's Animal Crossing. I can do whatever I want. So I don't think I have it in my yard, but you can like put decor in like your villagers' yards. And so I have one somewhere.
I love that your yard is super clean, and then you just like throw the trash in the other neighbors' yards.
Yeah. Yeah. It's part of the fun.
I love that there was like carryover between Harry Potter and Animal Crossing right there with gnomes.
A little bit. There's no magic involved though.
Yeah. What's the main purpose of Animal Crossing? Is it just building your village?
Yeah, you just kind of exist.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds lovely.
There's no levels to beat or anything
sometimes
like that.
games like that are the best.
Just live your life. Yeah.
This is another one that we get of Mr. Weasley. This is again why I love Mr. and Mrs. Weasley. They're like two of my favorite characters in this whole series. But Mr. Weasley or Mrs. Weasley and Mr. Weasley are in a conversation, and this is what they say. Mrs. Weasley says, "Your sons flew that car to Harry's house and back last night," shouted Mrs. Weasley. "What have you got to say about that, eh?" "Did you really?" said Mr. Weasley eagerly. "Did it go all right? I mean," he faltered as sparks flew from Mrs. Weasley's eyes. "That was very wrong, boys. Very wrong indeed." Yeah. Even their relationship is one that I love.
Why? Because he's like mischievous and she's keeping everyone in line.
Yeah, like she's like such a good mother, like keeping everyone in line, protecting everyone, making sure like she's doing such good motherly duties. But she's the reason that she is such a good mother is the reason that Arthur can be a little mischievous. Does that make sense? It's the same relationship. Yeah, again, I will gush about this show for my entire life. The same relationship of Bluey. You know, have you ever seen episodes of Bluey?
Yes.
It's Chili and Bandit, and how good of a mother Chili is, and how responsible she is, and how much she takes care of her daughters. Almost gives permission for Bandit to like goof off and, you know, like have fun. But it's also Mr. Weasley in this book, going back to this, is such a great, he's like just a good dad too. He's like taking care of his kids, like making sure like, you know, the house is like family is provided for, everything like that. And their relationship, even though they're like giving each other like looks right now, like make sure you're keeping your kids in line. I feel like it's out of love and out of like, I think they truly like just love each other and they are just having a good time.
Yeah. I mean, I would challenge some of your gender norms there, though. Why is like he allowed to be the mischievous one and she's the responsible one? What if the roles were reversed? Why can't she do fun things and he's
But how do you know that she doesn't do that already? She might be very mischievous. Maybe we Abby,
haven't seen that
she
yet.
Like snuck a love potion into Mr. Weasley's like coffee or something like that. And that's how they fell in love. Maybe she's being real mischievous, you know?
That's not mischievous. That's manipulative.
Yeah.
So that's like a whole nother level. But I don't. There's two. She is a stereotypical loving, warm mother, but I have a little pushback in me on like mothers who need to like babysit like their husbands.
Really? You think that she's like babysitting her husband a little bit?
Not exactly, but
no, that's it. That is an interesting take. That I feel like there maybe is a little bit of an error to that right now.
Yeah. Like if she needs to watch her kids and make sure they're following the rules, but not her partner. I'm not into that.
Yeah, I'm down with that. I think that's good. I am just thinking of Bluey and how their relationship with Bluey is great and they love each other. And they're like, the husband's mischievous and she's mischievous all the time too, but we just we don't know
being
enough.
Playful. Yeah. Being playful with each other is great, but I don't like if like one spouse has to like basically babysit the other one.
Just 100% true. Great point, Abby.
Yeah. I'm not really, I'm not harping on that too much, but
how do you like the burrow though? Like Harry says he wants to live there and it's great, but do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it seems like warm and cozy and kind of haphazardly put together. There's something where they describe it where it's like a bunch of stories stacked on top of each other and they're like, it seems like it could be held together by magic and it probably is.
Yeah.
So I just picture this like lopsided little like tall cabiny looking thing.
It's like about to fall apart.
Just held together. Yeah.
That's like my dream house. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, I have one thing of note in this chapter. And I don't know how far to read into it or not. Okay. But it says that Percy has been like acting strange this summer and like up in his room, and won't let them borrow his owl when Ron was like really trying to get in contact with Harry. So I just made note of that.
What do you think he's up to?
I don't know. Could he be maybe jealous of Harry? He's the prefect. They talk about how he like polishes his badge a lot. Like he obviously takes great pride in being a prefect. So, and just they made mention that he's been acting strangely and like up in his room. So, is he involved in the mischievousness that's to come at Hogwarts? I'm not saying that, but I'm just making note. I'm putting a mental tab in that.
Okay.
I don't think that Dobby came from him though, because I think we would know if the Weasley family had a house elf.
But what if Percy alone has a house elf and it's not like, because is he old enough to just have a house elf? I
don't know enough about this world. I would assume if you have a house elf, they have to have like, you have to pay for it or like buy it or it's connected to the household, I would assume.
So you have a sneaking suspicion Percy could be bad. Or not bad, but like involved in
I don't know if I would even go that far. I just made a mental note that he's been acting strangely.
Okay.
So I've got my eye on him. I'm not accusing him of anything yet, but I have my eye on him.
All right, great. Keep that mental note. That's a really interesting thing that you caught.
Thank you.
Anything else in this before we do the summary, before we do the wrap up?
Let me look. I think that was it. Nope, that's it.
All right, so let's talk over some of our favorites. Give me who right now is your most beloved character rather than Hot Tamale, because we won't do Hot Tamales yet. Give me your favorite moment in these 3 chapters, and then give me your House Cup winner, who you think your favorite character is in this. And your favorite and most beloved, sometimes it might be the same, but it's different for me.
Okay. Probably Ron. I love how he just showed up for Harry, even after not hearing from him all summer. Yeah, he showed up as like the hero in chapter 2. So Ron is the most beloved.
Most beloved, not your favorite? Or not House Cup winner?
I get them confused.
Yeah, I know. It's like a pretty niche thing, yeah.
One is Ron, the other is his mother. So whatever you want to put in whatever category.
No, you have to put what in these things in the categories that they're in.
I don't really understand the categories.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad we'll figure something out.
I like, you're basically just asking to me like your 2 favorite characters.
I know. I was literally about to say that. I'm like, the war is just your 2 favorite characters.
Yeah, I would say Ron, and then honorable mention to Ron's mother for just like her love and care of Harry.
I'm gonna give my most beloved to Mrs. Weasley, because she is like keeping this house together, and she's just great, and she walks like a saber-toothed tiger, and
yeah,
she's a great. She's like just a.
It describes her again as like being round.
Yeah, I know.
Which I love.
She's like a plump
I don't
woman.
want someone describing me as that, but I love that description of her because it just adds to her like warmth, like her persona.
Yeah. So she's my most beloved.
Sorry, continue.
My House Cup is Ron for the reasons that you mentioned too. Because I love Ron with everything in me. He's one of my favorite characters in the series. But I hadn't really like considered what he did for Harry in this moment, literally flying across the country, because I'm so stuck in Harry's perspective, because this whole book is in Harry's perspective, that you forget some of the other perspectives of the characters. So I love Ron. I think that's a great thing that you mentioned. You helped me make Ron the House Cup winner. So thank you for bringing something new that I've never really thought of before in the series. So well done. What's your favorite moment?
Put that on a mental note. If we're keeping a score, a scorecard.
Right, that's 1 point for you for my tattoo.
Yes, thank you.
We have to figure out some kind of game that we can play that's like we award you points, and then we award me points for certain things. We should do how far I can lead you astray in this series.
No.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. That'd be terrible. What is your favorite?
No, then I won't know what to believe and what not to believe.
That would be all.
I'll be out of my mind with paranoia.
What do you think is your favorite moment?
Really, it's probably when Harry looks out the window and sees Ron, because of the context of it. Like, he's just had such a low point. His birthday sucked so much. He thought everyone forgot about him. He's alone. You can just like imagine his despair. He's being starved, literally. Like, he's trapped in his room. He's questioning if his friends love and care for him. And then his best friend just like appears.
Yeah.
So that's like the best moment.
Yeah, that is a great moment. I like the moment. It's somewhat attributed to that, but it's when Harry goes into Ron's room and sees like the explosion of colors for like, the Chudley Cannons, which are his favorite Quidditch team. And Harry, like, Ron is embarrassed of everything in his house, but Harry is like, this is the best house ever. Rather than like the cookie cutter house that he was raised in, they're like, have manicured lawns and everything like that. And this is just a wild, lovely, cozy house, and Harry loves it so much. So I love the coziness of that. I would love to live in a place like that. It's my favorite moment.
Yeah. Good moment.
I know, good moment. Any last things that you want to add?
No, I don't think so. Do you have anything you'd like me to know as we go into our next 3 chapters? I assume we'll do 3 chapters.
Yeah. I'll let you know how many I think 3 is probably what we'll do. Maybe we'll do 4. We'll break it into like 3 and 4 chapter chunks because we don't want to go crazy long. But one more question that I have for you, and this is maybe you're gonna read me because I'm gonna ask this question. But what do you think?
Don't qualify when you're asking me questions. It's just gonna make. But
how do you know that I'm not qualifying a question to throw you off of my scent?
I don't.
Abbie, I'm really coming back in the second book of season 2 and really trying to throw you off. I'm trying to be stone faced. I'm trying to give you bad tells here and there. I've calculated. Okay, I've calculated every last move.
I wish I wouldn't have told you that I know what your tells were, because now you're going to be in your head about it. On one of our other calls, you were not blinking when I was speaking at some point. Like, you need to relax a little bit. I'm not analyzing your every movement.
I know.
We both just need to relax here.
I think we're great. I think we're doing great. Well. Come on. Mr. Weasley mentioned something about how he wrote a loophole in the law. What do you think wizarding law is made up of? And how the heck is Mr. Weasley able to write loopholes in laws?
Well, I guess it's from the Ministry of Magic.
Okay.
And if they're drafting their own laws, they can put in their own loopholes.
But isn't it a little crazy? Like, where's the checks and balance system? How is Arthur just able to create a law that essentially gives him a loophole?
Well, we don't know that he created that law on his own. He might have drafted it. I would hope that the ministry voted on it.
Yeah, for sure. I
would hope there's checks and balances. I would hope.
Yeah, I for sure hope there's a good checks and balance system. But at the moment, I don't know if there is that. Do you think that they would change laws, any laws that are already previously established in the books? Because if they're changing laws like that, do you think that they could change other things in the wizarding world? Not that we really know wizarding law, to be honest, but one of the books is all about wizarding law. It's like they go to law. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
I'm totally kidding. Come on.
I'm going to start crying. I don't know.
Anytime you just want the podcast to end, and you're like, I'm done talking about Harry Potter, you're just going to start crying. Like, all right, well, thanks for joining us on Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Until next time.
Thanks, guys. That's it.
That's it. Abbie's crying again.
You've bored me to tears yet again.
People are saying, don't Don't relax. She's analyzing everything you do. Don't blink, John. But
I'm not
I'll chill, I'll
analyzing you
relax.
to the degree
Yeah.
to the degree
I
that
know.
you might think I am.
I know.
The one
Agreed,
time you
agreed.
literally were not blinking, and then you said you didn't know how to react because you thought I was analyzing, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's just didn't blink for like a full 2 minutes.
Why are your eyes getting so glazed and red? And I'm like, what?